Screw it, Lance. After that piss poor performance, nobody's going to watch us. That was. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. How do you come in again? Okay, the Avalanche are a good team, and I get that. Okay, I really do. But at the same time, how do you play so piss poor? Time after time after time, you play piss poor. It's not even funny right now.
Well, it gets me. It gets me that when they're not playing games, they're saying all the right things, like Bozak and that quote on the Blues thing. We're all looking forward to these games. These are the games that excite us. These are the games that make us want to play. Blah 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 blah. That's great, but show up on the ice. I mean, Bozak had a good game, but continually this team continues to make mistakes. Whether it's penalties, whether it's a bad pass, whether it's something. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I've watched him all night because I watched him in the last game. Mm-hmm. I don't care what anybody tells me. I don't care what Craig Berube tells me. I don't care what the team doctor says. Colton Parayko is not 100%.
Not even close.
I can tell by watching him, he's about 65 to 70%. He doesn't look comfortable. You can tell he's in pain by the way he moves. I've had back problems since I was a teenager, and he looks like a man with back problems. Yeah. Blues make me drink.
Yeah, no, I get, and I'm with you right there. The Blues had 27 shots blocked. 27 shots blocked. That means you took 27 shots into a player.
Not, you know what else that means?
Not passes into the open areas, shots right into another player. This is Lance, this isn't even funny anymore.
No, and Guy, out of those 27, about 12 to 15 of them were ones where they waited too long to shoot, and that's why they were able to block him. It's frustrating to watch because we saw the first period up for the last minute, and they played very well, and then they started playing good after they went up 3-1. But I mean, it was not a great first part of the third period. Are we going to start seeing bad third periods now? I mean, it's frustrating to see it. And I'm going to tell you something, and people are going to disagree with me, and they're going to say that I'm a Berube hater. But I honestly think that Berube has lost that locker room. Something's going on in that locker room. And, Guy, I've said that to you personally when they were losing earlier in the year. Jeremy Rutherford came out and responded and said, well, he feels like there might be something wrong in the locker room. And I've been seeing it all season. Yeah. Either Berube's lost it.
The locker room's gone. The locker room's gone.
It is.
There's no doubt in my mind that this locker room's gone. And I'll tell you part of the reason the locker room's gone. It's the Tarasenko stuff. To sit there and tell Tarasenko he's not playing good enough. I'm sorry. You're missing the point. Tarasenko is playing what you want him to play, defense. And you're upset because he's playing defense? He's doing what you want.
Yep.
If you want exactly and right. Here's Anthony Anthony Tony Chumley. You're right. Sit Sanford. Sit his ass because he's not.
Like I told you,
I know he's a Berube guy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it right.
The only way that's going to happen, like I said, if Armstrong says to Berube, you're going to set him. And I'll be shocked if he sets for the rest of the season. I think Berube's a good coach. I really do. I don't dislike the guy, but he lost the locker room in Philadelphia. I've talked to players there, and they basically told me that. And
it's this my way or the highway.
Yeah. And then did you see what he said the other day? I've told the guys that they need to start scoring more. Well, damn it. Tell your guys that are good at that are your top scorers to focus on getting that puck in the net. Play decent defense, but don't be ramming it into their heads. Defense. And then
and that's what he does.
And then say, why aren't you scoring? Well, you're telling me
they're
play
playing
defense.
Defensive hockey.
Well, it's like people go, well, Brett Hall didn't win a Stanley Cup until Hitchcock made him play defense. Well, here's the thing. What if Hitchcock would allow Brett Hall in that Stanley Cup that they won to just be offensive all the time? It wouldn't have won as many games.
Yeah.
Hall could have scored more goals. I mean, it's crazy. It's a two-edged sword. You want your players to be sound defensively, but you can't expect everyone on your roster to be a defense guru. You just can't do it.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Hey, AZ, I'm not seeing you yet. I got a white screen on you, buddy. I no, and I see that, and I get it. Hall's a different guy. Hall's a totally different guy. When he went to Dallas, now see, there's some unsold stuff here, real quick, that we can get into. And John says, great, but shots within 10 feet missed the net. Wow. I agree. Tarasenko was wide open and missed the net, shot high and wide. And I'm not blaming Tarasenko. That's part of the timing thing, and it's part of playing too much damn defense.
Tarasenko Tarasenko had a good game. I know you'll agree with me.
You see me all right?
No, he did.
Yeah, we see you, AZ.
I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying that the guy has played so much defense that his offense is out a little bit. I'm not, Anthony says they're looking for pretty goals. I saw that tonight too. I absolutely saw that tonight. Nobody, and you know what? What is it? Are we allergic to the crease? Are we allergic to the damn crease? Because nobody's there.
No.
Nobody is in front of the damn net. Do we not want to get hit? Are we so banged up that we can't get hit in the front of the net? I don't know what's going on, but we're not doing very well in the areas of the game that we should be doing well in. Yeah. And
Brube's lost the team, guy. I don't care what anybody tells me. And people go, well, no, he can't because the guys like him. Just because your players like you doesn't mean that you can't lose a locker room.
I actually think right now they don't like him.
Yeah, I don't really think they do either.
You know why? I think they don't like him? Because listen to the damn press conferences. Mm-hmm. And AZ, I'm sorry, I know you want to get a word in edgewise, and I'm trying to let you, but you look at the press conferences and how down they are, right? This isn't them coming in and saying, well, we did this, we did that. This is, we played bad.
Yep.
We played bad. No, that's not what a coach does.
No.
They've been browbeat so bad that they come out and they just hang their heads. Okay, AZ, I got to hear what you got to say on this.
Anything in particular? Because I was listening, just like the second period on the way home, I was listening to the third period to try to kind of familiarize myself with the game. And one moment that just stuck out to me, I can't remember who it is, so I'm just going to say Kyrou, please feel free to correct me. It was a power play, and they had a really good shot, puts it over the net. And at that point, I think it was still a one-goal game. Yeah. Moments like that, I've said it for Arizona multiple times, when you have those chances, you have to put it on net. But like you were talking about, you also got to have someone either in front of the net or at the very least on the side trying to pick up the change at the very least.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is so difficult and frustrating to watch this right now. It really, really is. The only good thing I can say about that empty net goal is it kept somebody from having a perfect game, right? Somebody had picked the Avalanche 3-2, but with it being 4-2, he doesn't get those 2 bonus points, but McKinnon got him an extra point. So he's going to jump back up.
5-2. I was hoping for another goal.
Yeah, but you said 5-2 Blues.
I know.
So that goal doesn't help you there. Yeah, I was happy at 3-2. I was happy because I had the 3, right? I had 4-3. So I had the 3 for them. Now I end up with no points. Right, I get another fat goose egg. We got a hold of Christy. She's all happy. We're going to get her her prize this week, I think. She lives out further in South County, and I know that. But Roland's going to hook up with everybody and set that up for us. So I appreciate that, Roland. This is just a really tough game, and I'm trying to catch all the stuff here. Ashley agrees that he's lost it. Our coach has been so negative at this point. I'm expecting to say we tried about 0%. Look at you got Bozak out right here. Bozak had a good game, and look at him.
Important. So, when you lose, it hurts. But again, you got to have a short memory in this business. We got a big game coming up against them again in a short period of time. So we got to get ready for that.
Tyler, just from our vantage point here in the broadcast booth, it looked like those turnovers. They just feed the machine over there, and I'm sure it's something you guys talk about.
Yeah, they're a great team, and you can't turn the puck over against great teams, or they'll make you pay. The really good teams find ways to win. They capitalize on other teams' mistakes, and we just made too many mistakes tonight. We got to be more disciplined. I think, with their guys on the power play, it's not easy. And then not only that, the guys that don't play penalty kill kind of lose their rhythm in the game. So we got to be more disciplined and obviously limit the turnovers in the crucial areas of the ice.
Okay, there's something there that I just heard that makes me the guys that don't play penalty kill. Well, you know what? Get the guys on penalty kill. Maybe some of those guys need to get on the penalty kill because our penalty kill isn't working. Our power play isn't working. So shift it up.
Hey, Guy, I want you to go back, and I could probably find some post-game interviews right before Mike Yeo got fired or when I said Mike Yeo had lost the locker room.
Yeah.
Sounds exactly like the same type of things we were hearing after they lost with Mike Yeo. The exact same things. And what would Yeo say after each game? Well, we got to get better at this. We got to be better, and we got to do this better, and we got to do that better. Yeah, but you're not saying what you're going to do to get better.
Yeah.
And hey, I've played long enough in my life to know when a team gives up, whether it's on a period with the coach going at him or whether it's just over the whole team setup and the way he approaches it. This team, they've lost respect for him, and his message isn't getting through because you can see it. You can see the message is not getting through to a lot of these guys.
Hoffman was gone tonight. Hoffman was hot as can be. And what did he do? He tried to play defense tonight. Or he tried to be on the forecheck tonight. I seen that.
Yep.
He was deep in the forecheck. So because he's deep in the forecheck, all right. I got my buddy Windy City Hockey in here telling me he's glad Detroit helped the Blackhawks tonight. I'm not, but
But here's the thing: you want all your players to be sound defensively. Okay.
Yes.
Everybody wants that. But you're going to have guys on a team that have such offensive skill. You don't want them focusing so much on defense to where they're not thinking about opportunities and what to do with the puck next or where they're going to go with the pass or what are they going to do when they get the puck. When you drill it into their head constantly, defense, go, make sure you're strong defensively. But then in a press conference, you say, well, I told them they need to score. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, it's Bennington played really well tonight. Bennington was
really. I feel sorry for him. I bet.
Yeah, Bennington was
ticked. He's ticked.
The star of the game for the Blues. In my eyes, Schwartz had the 2 goals, but I would still say Bennington was the better player.
Yep. It's frustrating.
Yeah, it is so frustrating. I got gas
because guy, and I don't mean to talk so much, but I just have this gut feeling inside of me. It just reminds me so much of the last 2 or 3 weeks when Mike Yeo was here. And that's sad. That's really sad.
Yeah. The message is lost. And when the message is lost, and you know what? And I get back to this, and I'm going to stick to my guns on this. There's a move that they could make right now with 11 games left that would not upset the apple cart, but would send a message. And they won't make it. And I absolutely think Armstrong needs to walk down there and make it. You know what I'm talking about, right? Montgomery, this gentleman is not helping this team, right? This power play is discombobulated. Hell, they got more shots shorthanded than we did on the power play. Now, we did score on the power play, but it was late in the power play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Ashley's going to say, I don't think Montgomery being fired is going to do it. No, well, what I'm saying is it sends a message. And it sends a message to Berube. That's where I want the message sent.
Yeah, here's another thing you need to look at this way too. Maybe Montgomery's telling them one thing and Berube's telling them something different. Then you've got players. Trying. Yep.
Bingo.
Yep.
Bingo. It's the same goddamn.
Yep.
It's the same thing we had when Yeo was here with Hitchcock.
Yep.
And it was
exactly
absolute. Right. It was absolute that because as soon as Hitchcock goes, this team starts turning it around because now they're listening to Yeo only. They're getting told 2 different things from 2 different head coaches. I've been saying that for a long freaking time. And it's absolutely obvious now. That is why I think getting rid of Montgomery changes the message, right?
Yeah.
And
You've
she
got to
says,
send the message somehow.
what? Say again?
I said, you got to send some message because, here's what frustrates me. You watch what'll happen. The Blues will play Saturday and they'll look like the best team in the league. And then all the fans will jump on, oh, don't be hard on our Blues and so on and so forth. And I hate that. It's such a seesaw up and down. I know Matt's going through that and everything, but with Arizona, they'll play good for 2 games. And they look bad for 4. It's
what I want to
frustrating.
see? You know what I want to see at one of these press conferences? Because they have O'Reilly on almost every press conference, right?
I know.
I want to see O'Reilly come out and get pissed. I want to see O'Reilly come out, bang his hands on the table. We're playing like shit. There's an issue that we've got to take care of. We don't know who to listen to in the locker room. We're hearing 2 different stories. I want to hear him say that, right? Because then the message is going to get heard. And look, I'm not trying to sit there and go, "Ooh, you knew this all along." I'm not. I'm just saying that this canker sore showed itself very, very early in this season. And all we did was put a Band-Aid on it. We never treated it. And the canker sore has gotten worse and worse and worse and worse to where it's nothing but an infected mess that's not getting healed unless we do something drastic to fix it. And right now, the most drastic thing you can do, the way to clean this canker sore, to me, is to get rid of Montgomery. Firing Montgomery takes one of the 2 voices out of the locker room. You need to, if there's 2 voices in that locker room, you need to take one out. Right? And Chris Phillips says, and I got to make sure. See, and I'm not the only one. I'm actually got guys agreeing with this. Coach chemistry is a huge problem that I believe this year. I agree. Fire Montgomery. He won't, though. They aren't going to throw anyone under the bus. You know what? It's time. It's time to throw somebody under the bus. This team is better than this. Absolutely. That's what it comes down to. This team is better than this. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. They have man for man. They have a 40-goal scorer in Tarasenko. Yes, I know he was injured. He's still a 40-goal scorer. They have a 30-goal scorer in Hoffman. They have a 20-goal scorer in Schwartz. They have a 40-goal scorer or 30-goal scorer in Perron. They've got an assist machine in O'Reilly. They've got speed in Kyrou. They've got speed in Blaze. They've got all these things that they don't use. Now, the one thing that I will say that, and it just goes to show how desperate they are. You're absolutely right on Parayko. Parayko shouldn't be playing, but you know what? Who else can put his shoes? A 60% Parayko is better than, and I want Mikkola in, but you put Mikkola in, and Parayko is actually better than a Mikkola. A 60% Parayko, and you know what? ORR's had his head down every press conference. This is what I've been complaining about. He comes out like this. Come out fired up and fire your team up. That's the one thing about Pietrangelo, and I know a lot of people gave him a lot of heat, but in a press conference on a bad game, he would straight up say it. We played bad. We did this bad. We did that bad. We did. He had his head up and let go. And as much as I want O'Reilly as the captain, I'm starting to think that this was a mistake. Right? I really do. And I maybe some of this is just fire talking. Maybe some of this is just, I'm looking here. D-zone turnover. Here you go. If this one stat tells you how messed up this game is, D-zone turnovers, 15-8. Who had the 15? The Avalanche. 15 D-zone turnovers, and we didn't get a goal on one of them. Not one of them. Right there. That's your game right there. Okay, I'll let you guys talk now. I fired up enough.
No,
Matt?
I mean, yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Love seeing it though. You gotta love the passion. Oh no, I just wanted
Right?
to comment. Like, you gotta love the passion. Honestly, it's like it's one of those things. I remember back when I was, just starting out. I had no problem just sitting in a closet, just yelling, just because I was frustrated. Hell, even the last couple of games, I've been just angry as going on. So sometimes you just need that fiery passion,
Yeah, and it's kind of frustrating. And I watched the Coyotes game Monday night, and I didn't think they looked too bad in the first period, and they got the first goal, and didn't they go up 1-0? And I thought, they don't look too bad. And it's like all of a sudden one thing happened, and it led to another thing, and then all of a sudden Minnesota takes over the game, and they won the game. I see a lot of the same things with the Blues that I see in Arizona. I really do. And I don't know talent. Why? I mean, I think Arizona's got some good talent. Or if you go up and down the roster, are they as good as the Blues? Probably not, but they got some good players. And I mean, guys have to execute. Guys have to do what they do best. And it's frustrating for me to see, them just, it looks like they give up sometimes. I mean, they'll play hard for 3, 4, 5 minutes, and they won't make any mistakes. And then they'll make just the stupidest mistake in the world. And then something happens, and they let a goal in. They're not there mentally. And I know Ryan O'Reilly's personality, and I'm going to tell you, if he did go off like that in a press conference, the team would probably step up big time, because Ryan O'Reilly isn't that type of guy to do that. And if he gets ticked like that, the team would probably rise to the occasion and do something in the next game.
And that's what a captain has to do. Sometimes you've got to do what's not your.
Yeah.
You can't keep taking the blame, Ryan.
Yeah.
You're the least of our issues.
Mm-hmm.
You've cost us one game this year. One game. That's it. You made one mistake, cost us one game. I'm okay with that. I really am. It's all those other games where Sanford's made the mistakes, or Dunn's made the mistakes, or Shin hasn't shown up, or Hoffman's done the wrong thing. It's all those other games that we don't see the same effort that we see out of you. And as we continually see that effort from you, and you continually say, well, I need to do better. Dude, you can't do any better than what you're doing. If you want to do better, you sit there at the podium and you say, these guys have got problems that I got to fix. I need to fix them right now, and this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
I'm going to walk in that locker room, I'm kicking the coaches out, and I'm laying down the law. You do that at a press conference? And then you walk in and you slam the door and you kick the coaches out? You can sit in that locker room and not say a word in that locker room, but I'll guarantee you that you'll get everybody's attention. And that is what's not happening. Nobody's on the same page on this team.
Example of that.
Say again? I didn't hear you, Matt.
That is 100% true, and I have actual evidence behind that, because that's one of the most true things that I've ever heard anyone on a podcast I've been on say. When my dad used to work at America West Arena, back when Keith Kachuk was the captain, if they were playing terrible for the first 40 minutes, the press was not allowed anywhere around there. The doors were closed, and you could hear that man screaming through the walls. And you know what? It doesn't matter if they won or lost. Coming out in the next 20 minutes, they were fired up. They were playing so much better, and that's the kind of captain you need. Yeah, every now and again you need a Ryan O'Reilly or a Teppo Newman, and it's a little more lead by example. But even then, you still have to be willing, whenever you need to fire the team up, because if they did that, St. Louis would be third place. You can't convince me otherwise if that happened.
Yeah, as a captain, you need to stick up for your teammates. You do need to take some of the blame, but there comes to a time as a point when you need to sit there and go, you know what? I'm working my butt off. There's several other guys on the team that are working their butt off, but a lot of them aren't. I need to really step in and do something. You need to change it up. It's like I said about Berube and Mike Yeo. They're very similar coaches. They're very passionate. They're very outspoken. They're very loud and in your face type of people. And that works sometimes. But when it stops working, you need to do something differently. You can't treat every player the same. One guy gets motivated by being yelled at. The other guy gets motivated by saying, hey, you need to be better next time. You've got to figure out how to motivate each individual player, and the good coaches figure out how to do it.
Yep. Well, and this is a really good point. OR needs to have a players only meeting and let them have it. Call the players out, call coaches out, call the players out, coaches out. He has a C on his sweater, and that's what he's supposed to do. I was happy he got it, but the one thing, and I've talked about this a few different times, is the weight of the C, right? The weight of the C is, I was worried about the weight of the C on him because of the way he is. And right now, the weight of that C is pounding him. And this isn't a simple fix. This isn't something that's going to fix itself in one game, in 2 games, in 12 games. If they make the playoff, and that's an if right now, and they just showed it earlier. So we have 12 games left. We had 13 up to today. Lucky number 13, I guess. We have 12 games left. We have 2 against Arizona. We have 2 against Coyotes. We have 3 games in hand, or 2, not Arizona, Colorado. And we have 2 against Vegas, and then we have 4 against Minnesota. And I think there's 1 more in there against the Kings or something like that. Yep. Right? So we have 3 games in hand on Phoenix, 2 games in hand on the Sharks, who are 4 points behind us, or 3 points behind us.
3 points.
And we have the Kings have 1 game in hand on us. They have 13 remaining with at 40 being 4 points behind us. Yeah. So really, even with us having the worst strength of schedule, the ball is in our court.
Yeah, it is.
Really, the ball is in the Blues court. That there's no ands, ifs, or buts about that. But plain and simple, you're gonna make the playoffs. You're more than likely gonna make the playoffs looking at the numbers. You gotta really just win 1 more game than Phoenix. That's it. Right? You've got games in hand on everybody else, and Colorado's are the Kings game in hand on us doesn't matter. Right? It really doesn't matter because it doesn't get them within they're not within the threshold. Right? Sorry. So with that being said, you need to take these next 12 games and figure this out for yourselves. I really think they need to players only meeting, players only practice, whatever they say. And here's the problem. I actually think they can't do a players only meeting.
I was going to say that earlier when you said kick the coaches out. I don't know if Berube would let that happen.
No. I'm saying because of COVID protocols, that they're not allowed to do it. Right? It doesn't work on us. This is something this is a come to me moment. Right? And I hate the normal saying there, and I'm not going to say what it is. You know what I'm talking about. This is a come to us moment. This is a moment where you need to understand what we're doing wrong. Because it's not what we're doing right, because we're not doing much right. Let's figure out what we're doing wrong and fix that one thing. Well, second period. Let's fix the second period. Let's look at that second period, the long change, and let's fix that. Let's figure out how to make that work better, because we're not. We fixed that one thing. You got 12 games to fix that one thing. In fixing and working those 12 games on that one thing, I guarantee you all the other little things will fix themselves. I guess I made Matt mad. I hope he comes back.
Well, guy, here's the thing also. You've got a lot of Blues fans. They want Bozak back. They want Schwartz back. Yeah. Every Blues fan, if anybody's here more than 3 or 4 years, every Blues fan wants to re-sign him, no matter how good they've been, no matter what they do. It's like I make that joke. If it was up to some people, Bernie Federko would still be with the Blues. And that's great. I love the passion. But guys, it's time to move on from some of these people. Some of these guys coming up here, it's time to move on. We need some fresh faces in this locker room. It's got some good talent there. There he is. He's back. And like,
Yeah, I thought I made you mad and you ran away on me.
and it's funny because it's like Matt and I were talking earlier. It seems that nobody wants that fourth place. It's like whoever gets it is going to fall into it, whether it's the Blues, whether it's Arizona, whoever.
And you know
that's a bad way to go into the playoffs. You don't want to scoot into the playoffs. You want to be playing your best hockey, and the Blues are not doing that.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm seeing here, look at this game. Do you see how beatable Colorado is?
Oh, you can beat them.
You had so many 15 D-zone turnovers. 15 D-zone turnovers. You give up the puck 15 times in your D-zone, 4 or 5 of them should be in the back of your net. Right? You're a goalie.
At least you got to get some opportunities out of it. I mean, if
Right?
you're there forcing turnovers, you need to at least get some opportunities out of it. And I know that Colorado's got a fast team and they can get to the puck even when you cause a turnover and everything, but you got to get some good opportunities out of it. And I mean, I think Matt's seen some of the same things. And with the Coyotes, a lot of times they play a good game, but they don't take advantage of mistakes by the other team very well. And that's the mark of a team that's struggling when you do that. Am I right, Matt?
I don't know if he's hearing us just yet.
All right.
No, you're right. You are right, though. It is a mark of a team that's struggling. And one of the things that, for me, this game turned at the 19-minute mark of the first period.
Yep.
Right?
It did.
That's where this game turned. Right? And I'm sorry. Okay. Who do you put that on? Who do you put that on when this happens time and time again? You go back in the locker room. I'm sorry. This is where Berube's got to change that mentality of the letdown. And he doesn't, because they came out with the same letdown.
Yeah, and you know what's frustrating to me is, what did we see during that 3-game winning streak, Guy? He let the offensive players be offensive players, and they won. He let them. Kyrou used his speed, and he didn't get a goal or anything. And I think he had a couple assists, but he let the offensive players do what they needed to do, and they went 3-0. And then that fourth game, what did he do? He went back to the defense first. And you have to play strong defense. You do. But not every player on your roster is going to be Mr. Defense. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. So Jason Nichols says, I want Perron and Schwartz. Do what you want with the rest besides Benny and ORR. Well, first of all, you got to look at the guys that have expiring contracts. Bozak has an expiring contract. Do I think we need to move on from Bozak? Yes. However, let's say Bozak comes to you and says, I'm willing to do a 1-year deal for $2 million. I'll sign him in a heartbeat for that.
Yep. I don't think if he comes in and says anything under 3, I don't think you can say no. If he goes to Doug Armstrong and says, I want to be back, I'll do it for $2.8 million, 1-year deal. You got to do it with Schwartz. There's rumors out there he wants $6 million. I'm not giving Jaden Schwartz $6 million. I'm going to give him probably 3.5 to 4 for 2 years, and that's it. Because so you can't give Jaden Schwartz a 5-6 year contract. You can't do it.
No, nope. Well, the other thing is, and what's happened is, and I need to get a hold of one of my agent buddies. I got a couple of them. I don't think agents have adjusted to the COVID cap.
They haven't.
Right?
No, a guy, you know what? I love him to death. And if I was an agent, I wouldn't either. I would be wanting all the money I can for my client because that's how I get paid. I don't care about the COVID cap. And I understand that that's the way they look at it. But it comes time to it. We'll look at Hoffman. He was wanting $6 to $7 million for 4 or 5 years. Did he get it? Nope. And the Blues were one of 3 teams that had any interest in him.
Yeah.
And he took 4. And I'm not, I'm not saying Jaden Schwartz is a terrible player, but I think Jaden Schwartz is one of the most overrated Blues on in their lineup. I like him. Is he a top line guy? No. He's somewhere between a second and third line guy. And you can't give us a third line guy, maybe a $6 million contract. I think he's 28, 29 now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. No, I see Schwartz at the 4.5. See, this is the thing. A $6 million guy not last year is a $4 million guy this year.
Yeah, 4.5. Yeah.
And and I see what you're saying about the agents, but if I'm a realistic agent, right, I'm going to my client and I'm saying, look, times have changed and you need to understand this. What was 6 million 2 years ago is now 4.5. We're not getting that same 6. We're getting 4.5. Now, where do you want to get that 4.5? Because that's what you're getting. And if you want an example of that, Mike Hoffman. Hoffman was a $6 million player 2 years ago. COVID, he's a $4 million player. Jordan says he's 28. He's a $4 million player. So basically, my internet decided it doesn't want to work well enough for me to connect. Sorry, AZ.
Sorry, man.
We figured something was going on, man. You can chat in the chat room, buddy. So in my eyes, a smart agent, a good agent, is going to look at the economics of the situation and get his guys the money he can get his guys, not the money he wants to get his guys. There's a big difference.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you something right now. Everybody's counting on the salary cap to go up for the 21-22 season. It's not, and it may go down.
Well, actually, no. It's staying level next year. Okay. It's 22-23 that it could go up because they're looking at 80% capacity next year. Right? A lot of areas are relaxing the COVID restrictions. They're opening up. They're getting more and more. The Blues are up to almost, I think, 4.5, almost 5,000 fans in the game. It's getting a little bit better. The COVID protocols, they're not really reducing in that, but they're looking at them. So there's things that are happening that I can see not next year, but the year after, the cap moving in a good direction. You're going to see a lot of more 1-year deals right now.
That's exactly. I was just going to say the same thing. Jaden Schwartz 2 years ago could have got maybe a $6 million deal for 5-6 years. I mean, he got a good deal when the Blues paid him. They paid him early based on playoff success in his first full year in the league. They went ahead and signed him to a pretty good contract then. And you're going to see a lot of 2-3 year contracts and a lot of 1-year contracts. Only the real good, top 50 players that are free agents are going to get that good money. And it's not going to be the good money they could have got a year or two ago. It's just not.
Yeah. And that's the thing that a good agent's going to do, right? Mm-hmm. Like I know one agent pretty well, and I'm going to reach out to him, and hopefully before Saturday's game, I can talk to him and, just get some feels from him. But I'm pretty sure that he's going to look at the economics. This guy's smart. He's going to look at the economics of the situation. It's not, okay, yeah, you're right. You were worth $6 million then, but $6 million yesterday is worth $4 million today. So you need to understand that. You need to understand that what you were worth yesterday is not what you're worth today. Doesn't matter how well you play. It's the economics of the situation. Mm-hmm. Teams don't have that money they thought they were going to have, and they're not going to be able to move like that.
Well, one way to look at it too, when Pietrangelo, it looked like he was going to be a free agent, before COVID came around and everything. Mm-hmm. And I know for a fact that Toronto wanted him bad, and they were willing to pay him $9 to $10 million a year for 6 to 7 years. If he was a free agent this year, there's no way he's getting that. Look how much he got. He got a couple million less than that.
Right.
You have to adjust as an agent, yes, but you always want to make sure you get your client what he wants. You see all these agents going out there and making statements. We saw it with Andre Fleury's agent, who went out and put all that stuff out without Marc-Andre Fleury knowing it. and it caused some bad feelings about him. So the agent needs to do what the client wants. Even if the agent thinks, hey, I can get you 6.5, why would you take 5.8 from the Blues? And the player says, I know you can, but I want that 5.8 from the Blues. The good ones will say, okay, we got it. Let's get this done.
Yeah.
That's what a good agent does. He listens to his client. He knows his needs and what he wants, and he gets him what he thinks he can get him. You know,
When
Drew Rosenhaus doesn't care about COVID. I know you know who Drew Rosenhaus is, one of the biggest agents. He's never going to change. He's going to think, I don't care. You know, I'm going to get my guy $10 million, even though the most he's going to get is 7.5. That's the way Drew Rosenhaus approaches it. But most agents are going to see, hey, Jaden, you know, you can maybe get a couple more 100,000 than what the Blues are offering you. But if you want to stick with the Blues and be happy, you need to take what they're offering you.
Yeah. No, I'm with that. Hey, are you back, AZ?
Yeah. Apparently, I forgot Steam games automatically download in the background, so I had to reset my entire internet.
Yeah. That kind of.
Gotta
That's
watch
what
those
happens
Steam
when you
games,
play
buddy.
too much. Sonic. No, guys, I'm frustrated about the whole, just everything that's going on, right? And I hate the fact that we're 2 years removed from the Cup, and we're looking like Chicago, right? Who had all them bad contracts. And the problem is we don't have that many bad contracts. We didn't. What we have is COVID. Okay, COVID came. I get that. Think COVID. Think, okay, I made $22 at this job, though I'm my last job. They got rid of me. The economy changed. Well, I go to the next job with a downed economy. I can't expect, I want 22, right? I want 22. It's what I was making, but the economy's down. So for them to take me, they're going to offer me 18.
Yep.
Well, okay, 18 may be tough for me to live. Maybe I can't do 18, but you know what? I understand I'm not getting 22. Can I do 19.5? Can I do 20? Okay, maybe they'll do 20. Okay, at 20, I don't go to the movies as often, but I can live on that. I can handle that. That's what these guys have got to start thinking, right? One of my issues with some of these guys is living the life. And I got to tell you, living the life now and living the life 30 years ago are two different things, right? Living the life 30 years ago, and I've talked to a lot of players from the 70s and 80s now.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say a lot, I'm talking 15 to 20 of them. So maybe not a lot, but a fair amount. The stories they tell about what they did, they told about the money what money they made then meant something.
Mm-hmm.
A $30,000 contract then, when the minimum wage was $1.50, was something.
Yeah.
You could buy a house for $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
A decent, I'm talking a 4-bedroom with the basement in St. Louis County type house. You know what I'm talking about, Lance, right?
Yeah.
Northwest County area. You could buy
in the mid 70s, you could find a really nice house for $30,000 to $45,000. And,
right.
These guys, they get, I think it's good to have money. I always tell my wife, I want to make, when I was working, I want to make some good money, but all I care about is this. I want to be able to feed my kids. I want to be able to clothe them. If they need glasses, I want to be able to have the money to have glasses. I don't need to be rich. I just want to be able to pay my bills, put a little bit back, and that's it. And I'm happy. Some people say that's a bad thing and you should be greedy and you want all the money you can get. But players back then, even some of them in the 70s, probably not as many as in the 60s, but probably some of them in the 70s even took jobs in the summer.
Yeah. They did. I know that.
Yeah.
Right.
And guys today, here's what gets me is funny. I found out that Robert Thomas was living with the Kachucks. I think that's great. I think that's awesome. A young kid, you don't want him to get in trouble. He's making $900,000, $925,000 a year. Yeah. But in the interview, somebody said, well, since you're new in the league and you're only making a little under $1 million, I'm sure it would be hard for you to find a place to live. And I'm looking around my room going, he can't find a place to live on $925,000 a year? What's wrong with these kids?
I don't think he said that. I think,
it was somebody else. No, he didn't say it. That's what I said. It was somebody else that said, well, you probably, have a hard time finding a place, on what you make. And I'm going, is she serious?
Lance, how well do you know North St. Louis County?
I know it pretty well.
Okay. You know where 270 in Dorset is?
Yep.
Okay. Right off of 270 in Dorset, there's a little apartment complex. And I think the name of it is Spanish Trace.
Yeah, I think I know where that's at. Yep.
Okay. Right. I mean, it's right there. You get off
the highway there. Yep.
Heading right off the highway, heading towards Creve Coeur Park. And sorry about this, AZ. Right towards Creve Coeur Park. Marianne knows it well. You know why Marianne knows it well? Marianne knows it well because that's where the majority of the players lived. Yep. In the 70s and 80s, they lived in that apartment complex.
Yep.
Right? They didn't go out. And these are guys that made 100, 100 and a half, 250, right? $250,000 a year. These are guys that made that, but they didn't spend it.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember when Bernie Federico signed a contract in the 80s and it was for $850,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And they interviewed him in his home and it looked just like a regular home. It wasn't a big, and he could have got a big house for that amount.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big house. It was a nice house, I mean, nothing wrong with that. He worked hard for it.
These guys.
He didn't go out and buy some big $600,000 mansion, which would have been a mansion back then.
Yeah.
He lived within his means and put money back and probably invested in a smart manner. But a lot of professional athletes, I tell you the story real quick. You remember DeMarco Farr that played for the Rams?
Yeah.
He said one day they were talking about salary. He said, "Man, I'm gonna tell you." He said 90% of the NFL players, when they get that check, was it every 2 weeks or every week? He says it's gone. It's gone by the next Thursday, and they're coming trying to borrow money from other players that are better with their money. He said there were guys getting $600,000 checks, and it'd be blown by the next week. And I'm just going, that's just crazy.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Here's one of the things that comes into it. A lot of agents are not on the up and up. I'm sorry, they're not.
Yes, some of them aren't. You're correct.
And there are a lot of bad money managers out there.
Yep.
For the 1%, unfortunately, right? One of the things that needs to happen is straight up, the league needs to get much more involved, and the Players Association needs to get much more involved in what money management is for these guys. Because if
the NFL
they
does it, Major League Baseball does it.
Yes, they do. Yeah, well, see, he says players lived in Maryland Heights. Kevin and Kelly Plager went to Parkway North. John Kelly went to North also. The reason I know that is because that's where that apartment complex is.
That's exactly right. Right there off of Dorset, Maryland Heights.
I lived a mile from that apartment complex. Yep. So that's why I know that. They lived there, or across the street there were some houses. The ones that had families lived if you were McKelvey and it became McKelvey, it became Bennington as you went up. Dorset went this way. As you went up, right up past the little strip mall there, it made a right going down, or made a left going down towards Westport Plaza. There's a neighborhood back there. That's where guys live too, in that area. It wasn't an expensive area. Houses in the 70s in that area costed maybe $100.
Maybe. Yeah.
Right.
You could get a very nice house for $45,000-$50,000.
So if you want to know why we're on this tangent, because right now, the reason that we're on this tangent is what made $6 million, or what a player that made $6 million 2 years ago is not making $7 or $6 million this year. The economics of the situation has changed, and it really has. And it's the agents that understand that they're going to get their players the best deals. 1 year, 2 year deals that allow for increases as COVID goes away. COVID's not going to go away, but how we understand COVID is going to get better to a point where we're going to get back to normal.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is going to happen.
It needs to
follow the money, check pre-COVID, check and see how many teams played under average since COVID came and fans couldn't fill the players' bills. It's there's a lot to do with it.
And I want to ask Matt one thing. Arizona's never been famous for having rabid fans and fans that show up. I know there was the one year when it was pretty packed and the white towels were being, waved around. But I mean, how do you get fans out there enough? Because I mean, it's not as bad as Florida. You can get tickets, great tickets for the Panthers anytime you want. I mean, how does a team like that grow in Arizona when, people say, well, they got great fan support. Honestly, Matt, I don't think they do. Do they have great fan support?
If we're talking, all right, I'll stop being politically correct for a second. If we're talking about the sheep that have more money than sense, that live out in Scottsdale, that are just bored, that's what they do. That's your 5,000 or whatever a night. Sure, yeah, you're getting that hardcore fan support. They don't question anything the franchise does. If you criticize anything, you're the worst person in the world. But for the average person, I was lucky enough to where, the Jobbing.com arena right over there on the 101, I lived not that far away on 135th and Glendale, right next to the Air Force Base. All right. Yeah. My dad worked there. I got free tickets. When I didn't get free tickets, there's really cheap tickets for the first couple of games. It's, I would go there because they sucked. It was so easy to get tickets. And as I'm realizing, I'm getting older, it comes down to two things. First and foremost, get this team back out east, get them in Phoenix, get them in Scottsdale, where the people that have the money are. And on top of that, more people that live in the West Valley are willing to drive out that way because you're not trying to fight traffic to get back home, because everyone works in the East, they live in the West. So if everyone's trying to fight with traffic to go watch a mediocre hockey, they'll do it for the Cardinals because it's football. Everyone loves football. It's 8 games a year. You'll make the trip, and it's on a Sunday. The level of people that work on Sundays is what, 12% of the total, in the greater area or something like that. So when you're trying to get Tuesday or Thursday night support, you need to be where the fans are, so it's easier for them to get to the games, because the people in the West are going to be a little more willing to drive out because it's not as bad with traffic.
But I have an argument here. What about the Diamondbacks? The Diamondbacks seem in a non-COVID to draw really well, and to have that rabid fan base. The Diamondback, if I remember right, that's right there in downtown too, right?
It's right there in downtown Phoenix, where it's a perfect spot next to the Suns to get as many people as possible. On top of that, with them putting in the light rail, whether people here like it or not, it's at least getting more people easy access to the stadium. So it's, that centralized location. If they were to move back to, I think now it's called Suns Arena, because I think they have ownership or something. I don't know how that works just yet. But if they were to move back there, even though it's not made for hockey, you're going to get more fans by proxy. I cannot tell you the amount of times I heard, I was bored at a bar downtown and heard there's a hockey game going on, so I went to go check it out. Where at Westgate, the only reason you go to Westgate is because there's a hockey game or a concert, or because
I thought the arena was actually downtown. Okay.
Oh, no, the Suns Arena is. The Suns and the Diamondbacks are downtown. The Coyotes and Cardinals are way out in Glendale, Arizona. Yeah. And for me, a West Valley kid, that's perfect. But for someone that lives in let's say, Phoenix or whatnot, I don't want to drive against traffic on the 10 to get all the way down there.
Yeah. I can feel that. Right. I absolutely can feel that. So
and on top of that, don't suck for 5, 6, 7 years at a time. You'll get fans.
Well, we've had a good conversation tonight, and I really appreciate it. We're sneaking up on an hour, so I'm going to kind of cut it here. AZ, tell us about yourself and what you're doing, my friend.
I'm the St. Louis Blues fans' favorite Coyotes fan. Officially tonight, the Blues are my third team. Sorry, Vegas is a little too close. I've been following them longer, but St. Louis finally got into my heart thanks to you lovely folk. But I normally like to just complain about a hockey team until my indoor football Rattlers start playing and I get to feel happiness again.
Yeah, I love it, man. Well, hey, you got a place on this show, AZ. All you got to, when you can ask, if I got to open and I'll stick you in there in a heartbeat. You know that, man.
Oh, I love it.
That's what makes it fun so much. That's what makes the show. But I'll let Lance go, and then I got something to talk about. Go ahead, Lance.
You can find me at droppodcast.com. You can email me at lanced@droppodcast.com. It's brought to you by lineupmedia.fm. You can also look at our Twitter page at Drop Hockey Show. And you can find me here on Guys Podcast.
Oh, Lance is definitely a friend of the Blue Note Fan Report and a frequent guest, and we enjoy it. I got to bitch a little bit. I'm sorry. I put out a really, really good interview, and I can't promote it that much because I've been blocked by sharing on Facebook and that. I put out an interview with Ed Stanowski. Ed Stanowski is probably the neatest man you're ever going to meet. And you thought the Gary Unger interviews were good? Ed Stanowski spent 10 years as a backup in the NHL. Decided that I'm done. Spent a year, got himself into shape, and then joined the Canadian Armed Services as an officer. Spent 29 years in the Canadian Services. Retired lieutenant colonel. This hour interview with him is amazing. And we talk about the 1 square foot, right? For a goalie. Mm-hmm. A goalie skill is here. It's all here. It's not. Everyone thinks it's here. It's not. It's not in the gloves. It's not in the legs. It's in the head.
Yep.
He talks about that.
He basically says exactly what Grant Fuhr says and what I've always told people. When you get to the NHL as a goaltender, even if you're only up for a couple of games, you've got skill. They don't just bring people up that don't have skill. What makes a good goalie a great goalie is all here. It's between the ears. That's what makes you grow, get better, and become a master of the game. That's it. That's the difference between an average goalie and a great goalie.
Yeah, no, and he talks about that. This only 12 or I think 40 people, or pardon me, 40 people have seen the Gary Unger part 2, which is bad enough.
I watched it.
12 people have seen Ed Stanowski.
I've watched pieces of that one, guy. I will have to admit, I've been sick the last couple of days.
Oh, I know.
Pieces.
But I put, hey, my show, I get to bitch. Right? My show, I get to say, look, guys, you love these interviews and you tell me you do. But if you don't watch them, it's hard for me to get these guys on. It really is. Mm-hmm. And I've got a couple of big names that I'm working on. And I'm even going to tell you one of the big names. This name is huge. Huge, I mean.
Huge.
Huge. Big, huge.
Are his initials BM?
Yes. Yes, his initials are BM. That's why I'm saying. Right? I've had
interview Barry Manilow.
You're close.
Yes. How did you guess?
You know what? You got the first name right.
Copacabana.
You got the first name right. I am not, and I don't want to say it's close, but I'm in the neighborhood of getting Barry Melrose on my show.
Oh, wow.
I'm that close. But you know what? It's really hard for me to get Melrose to come on my show when I get 10 views of Stanowski, 40 views of Unger, only 230 views of Panger, right? Jim Siegel, I watched the Ed Stanowski interview and it was great. Jim has been a good friend. Jim has some connections that he's working with me, and we're doing some things. These guys that I'm talking to are very gracious, and they're not. Now that they know who I am, they're graciously coming on. I have a couple other names. I have one name that, I don't know if I should say this name, but I might. For Blues fans, you're gonna hate him, but he was the bane of Blues fans for years and years. But I've talked to Al Secord, and Al wants to come on. I need you guys I need support. I really, really do.
You want me to tell you something?
Yes, sir.
You're going to start getting more support the more interviews you do from guys with other teams.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but you will. And you'll be shocked at how many Blues fans will start watching those and go, oh, He interviewed Ed Stanowski. I used to go to watch him play. I'll watch that one. It's just, and trust me, guys, it's hard to get these guys to do interviews. It really, because they get hundreds requests. Even guys that played in the 70s and 80s, hundreds of requests each week to go on this podcast, that radio show. And they only pick a couple if they pick any. So it's very hard to get these guys on.
You know, I'm not trying to sit there and pat myself on the back or be unhumble or anything, but I've worked pretty good, and I've got and Lance knows this because Lance knows the people I'm talking to. I've gotten a good reputation with these guys. I mean, a pretty solid reputation, and I've got Mike Zook to just jump on a intermission show, or jump on a show. That just doesn't happen if these guys don't like you. But at the same time, these guys want to know that they're cherished. And when I don't get the views, they don't think that I'm worth their time. And I get that. I understand that. Mm-hmm. So, even if if you turn it on and just leave it on and don't watch it, the minutes count. And that stuff counts. And sharing it. That's the other thing. What I would love to see guys do, go to YouTube, take that video, take 3 or 4 videos and share them on your Facebook page, because you never know who's going to watch. You never know. And make comments, because when I do a video, I know you do gaming videos, Matt, and your videos, you get what, 15, 20, 30, 40 comments, right?
The most comments I ever got is on my Sonic stuff, and it depends on the video. Sometimes it'll get like 10, other times it'll get closer to 30, but for the gaming stuff, not much at all. And honestly, I make videos because I want a conversation. Even if I disagree, I want to hear someone else's thoughts, because it usually gets some pretty good conversations going. Right.
So that's what I'm kind of, but I don't get, I get ones, the only comments I get are the spam comment, and that's all I get. It doesn't take much, guys, to just say good interview. That count when you have an interview that's an hour long, and I know some of these are long, and I get that, but you know what? If you watch these, you don't know it's an hour. You do not know it's an hour. Do you know why you don't know it's an hour? Because I'm the one doing the interview, and I can't believe that I sat there for an hour, that it's gone by that quick. Really, if it wasn't for the camera cutting off.
I can give you a piece of advice right now that'll help you.
All right.
Take that hour one and cut it into 3 to 4 different segments.
Lance, if I could, I would. But when I guess I got to get better at my not the editing, but my questioning technique, because I'm so organic that there's no cut spots, right?
Well, what you could always do at the end of them. At the end of like the 15 to 20 minute, I've always found with shows, 20 minutes is about the tops that I like to do on a podcast. Sometimes I'll go 30, but if you go 20 minutes, right at the end of it, after your interview, you'll say, make sure to check out episode 2, where we talk more to Gary Unger, and have just a real quick bit of him saying something, and then give the link to episode 2. That way it kind of blends them all together. And Matt, I'm going to try to work on getting you Phil Kessel. I don't know if I still know somebody out in Arizona. I don't know if they're still with the Coyotes. They were there when they were the Phoenix Coyotes.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to talk to them. They may not still be there. I'll email them and see what I can do. I don't think you'd like that, would you?
I mean, if it was Phil Kessel. I mean, look, I'll get some hot dogs. All right.
There you go.
Maybe I'll Venmo some money so he can get some hot dogs. We'll all just hang out.
He'd like that.
But guys, can I just add some context real quick on what you were talking about? So it's it is so ridiculously hard to get in contact with teams. Look, when my channel, my original version of AZ Sports Guy, when I was still in a closet, all right, I had like 160 some odd subscribers. I was getting the strongest views I've ever gotten. The only channel that's ever done better is my Sonic channel. All right, and it's I emailed the PR, or I think it was PR, for the Tucson Roadrunners, and I sent a link to my channel. I was like, hey, I'd be very interested to be able to, try to come down and cover you guys and whatnot, and try to see who I could talk to about maybe potentially getting the press pass. Anything. Couldn't even get a response from an AHL team. And I do not mean any disrespect by this. 100% I do not mean disrespect, but they're an AHL team. All right. The simple fact that someone that was especially for only being 160 some odd subscribers, getting very strong view counts and interactions, couldn't even get an email back. It is so impressive, but ridiculously hard. So like, I have been terrible about being able to catch up with a lot of your content, but I'm going to try to make a better effort, like while I'm just playing NHL or whatever, to have your interviews in the background or something, just to try to show a little bit more support, because it is so ridiculous, especially for this new media. Like I think Lance mentioned it in a previous show. They don't consider us media. They don't consider us much. And, you know, again, once again, no disrespect. I love the Tucson Roadrunners, but when an AHL team doesn't even email you back, it just shows how impressive it really is, how far you've gotten with that.
Well, apparently Jason Nichols. Hey, Jason, I'll send you a text here, a message here after the show. No, and I'm not trying. I know it sounds like I'm bitching, but I'm not completely bitching. But at the same time, I have doors that are opening that are also closing just as quick. And that's what's frustrating for me, because I have worked so hard to get those doors open, right? And I'll tell you what, it took my first interview with Jim Thomas. When I got Jim Thomas to do that interview with me, days later, somebody in the Blues organization got a hold of me. And the next person to get a hold of me was Grant Fuhr.
Ooh.
Right? And Grant Fuhr was one of the first ones I done. It was the most. I've sent him a few messages. He's read them, but he hasn't messaged me back. I want to do another interview with him now that I have like 2 years under my belt, because I was so nervous talking to him that I had my list of questions and I didn't have any organicism to it. It wasn't organic. I followed my questions and left it at that.
I told you not to be nervous with him. Just start talking to him. I mean, that's the way he is.
Oh, I did, but the one thing with Grant that I now know is he's very clipped with his answers, right?
He can be, but once he gets really comfortable with you, because he came on my show every month for like 6-7 months, and once he gets to know you, he'll open up a little bit more.
Oh, that's what I need. That's why I need to get him again and just take that chance and, move forward. Guys, I enjoy this. This is a lot of fun. I'm actually starting to think about doing a half hour to an hour show every day, and at least doing a weekly show once the season gets over, just talking about, different things, just getting on, talking with guys, especially the hot stove stuff, because it's going to be fun. Look at Lance, look at me with them big old eyes. But it's fun talking. And at one point we had 30 people watching us. That's not a lot, but my average was 10. It's going up.
You got to grow, and you got to start somewhere.
Well, guy,
not everyone's going to get all the views at once. That's impressive. That's good.
It's like I told you, there's other shows in this market that I've watched them just because I have a podcast. I like to watch other shows, and they get 2 viewers, 3 viewers. And, even to get 20, 30 people at one time, and then you've got a ton of people sending comments, which is good.
Oh, yeah.
And I think guys just wanting people to know that, hey, this is not easy. It's not something that you just do on the fly. It takes a lot of work behind the scenes. And he's not complaining. He's just saying, hey, help me out here. That's all he's trying to say. Yeah,
and that is. And, I know it may come off the wrong way, but
no, it didn't.
That's great. Jason, I will send you something. Richard has his own, and it's pretty new. I'm going to get Richard on here pretty soon and get Richard with us, and maybe we can start going on Richard's too. I've actually been talking to Richard about bringing him into the STL Fan Report family. He's up in Canada, so it'll be a lot of fun. Hey, Richard, have you been calling me by any chance? Because I've been getting some calls from Ontario. So if that was you, let me know. I think it could have been somebody else. So I called them back and they didn't know who I was. So I'm not sure who was calling me. Yeah, that happened, but I do know a couple people up there. So that's why I'm not 100% sure who it is.
Yeah.
One of the guys that I'm trying to talk to played a lot of minor league hockey, but he has ALS now.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. This was today, Rich. He has ALS now, and I'd really like to get him on to get his story out, to let more people know about ALS and Parkinson that are from, these guys playing hockey, basically. what they got to deal with. So, well, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much. AZ, you're always welcome on the show. And Lance, if it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't have a show, my friend.
I appreciate you thanking me. And like I said, was trying to help you out, and hopefully I gave you some good advice. And like I told you before, just try to do better each show. And, you have, if you go back and watch your first interview with Grant, it was very good, but you can tell that you're a little nervous, but yeah, as you go on, it's just like it becomes second hat, and you've done a great job.
It was hard up to him. It was pretty easy talking like I was going out having a beer with the guys. Right. I interviewed, oh man, I'm going blank. Jamie Rivers.
Yep.
I'd interviewed, Hockey Bob. That was fun. I interviewed, Jim Calhoun or Tom Calhoun, and guys like that. But once I got to Grant, it changed. No, Grant's not the guy you go out and have a beer with. He is, but he isn't when you're a new podcaster. You're trying to make an impression. And it was really hard for me to have that light feel to it. And, like you said, he didn't know me. His answers were clipped, and I got that. But, the fun of it is if I can get him on again and, he understands or he trusts me a little more to really get him in. Because I talked to him about the tennis ball machine. Grant had one of the best gloves I've ever seen in the league. And I guarantee you it's from him getting nailed with that tennis ball machine. You know what I'm talking about, Lance?
Yeah.
Right? Glenn Sather, he would come to camp. Grant would come to camp overweight. Glenn Sather would make him go out in the hallway with a tennis ball machine, load up the tennis ball machine, and fire tennis balls at him for hours to help him get into shape.
Yeah. And imagine this. Glenn Sather didn't want to draft him. He went and saw one of his games. I think Grant gave up 8 or 9 goals, a lot of goals, and looked just bad. And Grant didn't think they were going to draft him, but the scouts told Glenn Sather, you've got to draft this guy. You have to. You caught him at a bad time, but you have to. And Grant could have had a totally different life if Glenn Sather hadn't drafted him.
Yep. So and he's a very gracious person. And it was one of the it was the opening to a lot of the other interviews I've had. And I continue to get more. I'm getting the media guys and things like that. I already have a confirmation from someone who has a very popular podcast, who's a St. Louis media person, has a podcast with a hockey player, so that might give it away a little bit. Former hockey player, not a very good one, but funny guy though.
Are you saying that CJ wasn't a good player?
Well, he was good enough to make it to the league.
Oh, he'll admit it. He'll admit that he wasn't, Hart Trophy winner. He'll admit it.
Oh yeah, but I've had confirmation from them after the season. I've had confirmation from Darren Pang to come back on the show. Panger loved me. Panger, yeah, I had Panger. I'm sorry, this was the pinnacle of my podcast. If my podcast career ended tomorrow, even though I didn't get to interview Bobby and some others, my pinnacle would be interviewing Darren Pang on my birthday.
Oh, that's awesome. That's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah. So when you can interview,
I'm going to tell you something. I'm impressed you got him, because that's one of the hardest interviews to get. So kudos to you, because he doesn't just do any interview.
He does not. And, I tried to put this out. I'm the first podcast that he's done. He's done other big podcasts.
Yeah.
These are national podcasts,
Yep.
not local.
No,
he has not done. I am the only local podcast that he's done, and he's gotten requests from all of them.
Yes, he has.
He's gotten requests from all. He told me this, but he said, I knew you. I knew who you were.
Yep.
Right. And I knew, and that's why I finally reached back out to you. So, it takes some time. And I had got, Chris Kerber. Kerber does not do these things at all. That one, I had to basically call Kerber out on Twitter to get him to do it.
Yeah, guy tried really hard for that one, and it ended up paying off.
Yeah, I called him out like 3 or 4 times. He finally said, "What do I got to do to shut you up?"
I can hear him saying
sometimes
that too.
bullying works.
I can hear him saying that.
But this is the fun part of all of this.
It is
To keep working with these guys, because I know, and I have to be at some point when you're doing this, you've got to step back and say, am I good or not? Right? And you got to look yourself in the mirror. And if you think you're not good, you got to get out of the game. I love Sonic, man. We were supposed to have one here, but they backed out.
Diet cherry limeade. Oh my goodness, half price, $1.70.
Now I want a Red Bull slushie, but they got rid of those.
They did get rid of them. Yeah,
that made me so angry because all I had to do is go home, put a little bit of vodka. I forgot what Paul Bissonet's Pink Whitney. Put a little bit of Pink Whitney in there. You don't taste anything. Have a great night.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say vodka.
So guys, thank you so much for coming on. We'll see you. We got a game Saturday.
Yep.
It is an early game. It's the game's at 9 a.m. So I'm coming on. I'm doing an hour for that one. 8 a.m. my time. If you can make it, I think it's 1 your time, Lance, and 11 your time, AZ. I'm not completely sure.
I got to work at 10 that day, but anytime through Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, if I have time and you're on and you invite me, I'll make time. Unless God's
no problem, buddy. No problem. Yep, I got to get. Game is at 9 a.m. my time. It's a 2:00 game. I'm 5 hours behind St. Louis, 6 hours behind the East Coast. But you know what? We're gonna have fun. Win, lose, or draw. This is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, who is always bleeding blue with you, saying aloha, mahalo, and I'll catch you all on the next Blue Note Fan Report.